Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Full Potential Show. I'm James Rick, and this is your #1 non-boring source for personal development. And today on the line, we have Clarissa Burt. She's an entrepreneur, a TV video producer, a public speaker, an author, writer, inventor, award-winning actress, and entertainer. The theme for today's show is personal envelopment. Yes, you heard right. This is about love of self and developing self-esteem. And the book that we'll maybe touch on a little bit, that's just coming out, very interesting book. It's Off the Coast of Zanzibar. It's by the director of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, Greg something. What was his last name?
Greg Reed.
Greg Reed. And it's already a bestseller in its soft launch, and she's in one of the chapters, so you want to grab a copy of that book. Clarissa Burt, thank you so much for being on today's Full Potential Show.
What's up?
What's up?
So, what's up down there in Costa Rica land?
Well, you know, we're doing a little of this, a little of that. So where are you at right now?
Well, right now I'm not in Costa Rica where you're living your full potential, but I'm living kind of my full potential at about 117 degrees here in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay. It's been a hellacious summer, but you know, it's all good. We got a lot of sunshine.
I hope you're surrounded by ice packs right now, because that sounds crazy. I actually lived in Vegas for a while, so I know what it's like to be in that hot weather, and I am glad I'm not there. You're going to have to come on out, come on down, take a dip in the ocean here.
I think there are worse places that I could be, but it's pretty hot. You know, it is. It's a little warm, a little toasty, but hey, that's where I am right now.
I think you get used to it after a little while, where you at least know how to work around it. You know.
Yeah.
All right.
I try not to work. I try not to work in it.
Yeah. Right.
Work around it, yes, but in it gets a little tough. Anyway, so go.
All right. So I hope you've personally enveloped yourself in ice packs. Let's talk about this for a little bit. What does it mean, first of all, personal envelopment? I know that's your angle. This love of self and this self-esteem, I think, is so important, you know, for doing anything in life, because you won't attempt it unless you believe in yourself.
That's right.
What is it?
Here's what it's about. Yeah. Here's what it's about. You know, I really love working with women and girls, and my whole deal in life. You know, I've worked in the beauty industry most of my life. You know, so I was a model, an actress, you know, television producer. I produced. Whoa, there went my lighting. Sorry.
You're okay.
Okay, so
anything goes here.
Holy smokes, that was really. And so, you know, I produced the Miss Universe pageant as well. So it got me even closer to what beauty is and what the reality of it is and what it isn't. And I noticed that, you know, apart from the fact that I can bring, you know, my 52 years worth of experience to the game, I was noticing also a lot of, you know, self-esteem issues that I was dealing with in the young girls. So it became really, really clear to me that there was, you know, an ever pressing need to be speaking to this ever sensitive issue, because mostly, you know, these kids are getting information from the press, the media, which is not always the best, you know, source to be getting information from. And I'm not going to name names, but you know, I mean, heck, you know, I'm listening to some of these television shows. I can't believe what I'm hearing, and I know I sound like an old fart when I say that. But it's so true. And, you know, the role models that they have today, well, I don't want to name names, but I think, you know, when I say the Brat Pack out in L.A., I mean, we're getting an idea. So, you know,
so true, Clarissa. And, you know, one of the reasons why I started the Full Potential Show is I said, you know, I mean, I looked at the landscape and I said, there has to be a revolution in media in order to indoctrinate in a different way, because really it is so influential, isn't it? Media is so influential. It's like
too influential, a little scary.
It's installing values in people, and it's like, you know what, here you have this powerful medium, let's use it for the best good possible. Let's turn it into a positive force instead of a negative force. So I'm with you 100%, my dear.
Yeah, well, I know you are, and so I think that's really great. But when I started to think about what could I call this, I thought, well, you know, self-esteem, okay, and you know, I didn't want to sugarcoat it too much, because you know, self-esteem is something that you have to deal with every day. And therefore, it's a regimen. You know, it's something that no matter what, you know, it could be the economy, it could be something your mother said, it could be something your boyfriend did, whatever it is, you know, there's something you're dealing with every day. I call them the daily demons. And, you know, there's something, so I decided to call it a regimen, the self-esteem regime. And then the byline is women's development through personal envelopment. And envelopment is really, you know, it's envelopment. enveloping. It's it's love of self, and there, it's the toughest love of all. Because we are also autocritical, and it's the love that needs the most nurturing and attention, and therefore through the program, I give a whole bunch of great pointers, and there are exercises and workbooks and all kinds of fun things. Maybe not so fun at times because you got to really think too, but that's the good part. You start to really think about what is important, what's not, and not to give your power away, and to really ground in yourself and whatever, it's sort of like the taller tree has the deepest roots. Well, we want to get really, really deep roots so that when the hurricane comes through, we don't, we're not tumbling over. We're standing pretty strong.
Let me ask you this, Clarissa. The sort of the genesis behind this idea, your experience. I mean, being in these movies, the Never-Ending Story, by the way, stuck out for me because I watched that movie so many.
You did do your homework. Look at you.
I did. I'm very prepared. And I watched that movie over and over and over again when I was a little kid growing up. I think I think it became a form of torture. I watched it so many times. My brother would put it on. I'd put it. Not that not that the show itself was torture, just that when you see it so many times.
Right.
But the point here is that,
I was looking at the picture. It might even be here, but I can't find it off the top of my head. There's a picture of her somewhere here. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Being in the business of acting and doing these pageants, and I know you have a beauty product line and everything. Being in that business of show business, so much of what usually we're critical about with ourselves, and like you said, autocritical, it becomes even more accentuated when you're in that business, because literally your livelihood, your survival, your status really does depend on your outward appearance even more. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So this idea of personal envelopment, did it kind of grow out of being in that environment on kind of a regular basis? And I'd like to get your perspective on that, not only as it applies to your own life, but in many of the celebrities that go through all kinds of surgeries and all kinds of, transformations, makeovers, what you want to call them, as a result of trying to keep up that show business that has made them, successful in many ways. Yes, they're talented, but come on. I mean, looks have a lot to do with it.
I get it. The first thing that comes to mind is that, this, bar none, is the industry that is the most rejection-based. So whether you're a model, an actor, a singer, or, an MC, whatever it is that, when you're on, I say, when the world is your stage, you have to stage your world, and so it's so rejection based, this business. You're going to get 1,000 no's for one yes, and unless you've got some pretty strong roots, as I said before, that tree is going to tumble pretty fast, and you can only go down so many times before you're not going to be able to get back up again. And that usually is when people will turn to drugs, or they'll turn to drinking, or they'll turn to some sort of, self-abuse, because the pain is excruciating, and you really want to be in this business, and it seems as though you cannot be, at a certain level at least. It's a really hard place to be. That's one of the things that I teach and I speak to when I speak to about self-esteem regime and personal development, is the reality of what is real and what is not in this business. And I refer to Photoshop, for example. Because kids, they're taking a look at what they think is perception, and what they think is perfection, and it's only a perception.
Yes.
And it's so important to me to get this message out. Now, when I was modeling, there was no Photoshop, so we didn't really have to deal with that. You either were or you weren't. Today, thanks to this Dove self-esteem campaign, you can go onto YouTube and take a look at their videos and see the actual transformations being taking place, where a pretty girl is turned into an absolute stunner because she's been all digitally remastered. And so it's important to get these messages out. And this is what I work on. And not only do I, it's okay not to be perfect.
Yes.
You're okay just the way you are, and find what your strengths are. Find, you said, here's the other thing that I don't necessarily agree with. You can be anything you want to be. Well, that's not true. I can't be the next, woman on the moon. I can't. I might be able to be on the moon eventually, because that seems to be where, all kinds of, travel adventures are going to be going in the next 50 years. But I'm not going to be the next woman on the moon because I'm not going to be an astronaut. But I could be a next woman on the moon. You know what I mean? You get what I'm trying to say.
I do.
You can't be everything you want to be.
So I think
but you can be the best you that you can be.
Beautifully said. And that's really the message here, is that self-esteem is grounded. You've got these deep roots, like you say. It's, first of all, it's grounded in reality and a realistic assessment of who you are, what you can be, and ultimately being the best that you can be, not comparing yourself to this idea of perfection, which, like you said, are just perceptions. They're not even real. So grounding it in reality, getting as close as you can about what is real, what is not real, and what's real for you in terms of being the best you can be. And that is significant. I mean, what you can be and who you can be, and the ideals that you can hold for yourself at your best version of you are incredible. Right. So as you're inspiring people to live that best version of themselves, we're on the same page, playing the same music, baby.
Thanks. Well, that's great. That's good to know.
So let's talk about.
There's a lot of work to be done, as you well know, James.
The
kids I'm trying to get to are the kids that are at home that might not have the best home life, that might have been abandoned by a parent or two, that don't know where to go, don't know where to turn, don't know who to talk to, don't know who to trust. I've lived these kind of things, and so I know I'm not preaching from any pulpit, that I don't know about. So
right, you have been there. They can relate with your background, with your story, and say, well, if you've been through that and you were able to get to where you are, then I have something to relate to in order to be the best that I can be. Because there's what you're saying is there's no excuses, really. There is a best for everybody, and there's a path to getting there. And that's what I want to talk about now is, for people that are watching right now that want to get to the next level in terms of their self-esteem, their self-image, their confidence, which is so important to doing anything else, having that foundation of self-love. What are some tips or some strategies that you can offer? I mean, we've already kind of hit on a few of them, but are there some specific ideas that you can leave them with that they can start to apply in their life when they get done with this video?
Don't compare yourself to others. This is the
number one. Yeah, number one.
Everybody wants to be somebody else, for heaven's sakes, and this is where, gosh, and it's tough because when you're in school, you want to be accepted and you want to get along, be a part of the group, and you want to, what? It's okay not to be liked by everybody. That is perfectly fine. And the sooner you learn that, the better off you're going to be, because it's going to be impossible to be liked by everyone. Impossible. It's just never going to happen. Yep. So the sooner you learn that, whether you be 8, 9, 11, 15, whatever, at whatever age you learn it, and learn it quickly, and learn it strong, and make it yours. Own that, because you're just not going to be liked by everybody, and that's a good thing. Being different is a good thing. Standing up for what you believe in to be truth is a good thing. And so getting that whole sense of journaling, just keep yourself up there and out there, and your ideas also fresh. And if you see that you're coming across some sort of glitchy area where, when you're journaling and you're writing that same thing over and over, and it's days that turn into weeks, that's when you need to get a support group. So get yourself some support. Find it there. It's everywhere. Okay. The kids today have the fortune and the misfortune, but the fortune to be able to find like-minded people thanks to the internet. There are great places that you can go through, meetup.com. There are all kinds of, the churches, and there are all kinds of places that you can go to find like-minded groups. Support. Reach out. Okay. If something isn't right, something isn't feeling good, talk to somebody. Find an adult. Call me. Do something. But so don't suffer in pain.
The first thing is you're not going to compare yourself to others, and I also hear you wanting to raise awareness of whatever it is that you're working on through journaling, because a lot of what we're dealing with can affect our self-esteem, right? I mean, we talked about this in the beginning of the show. There's so many factors that if you can journal about it and it becomes a recurring issue, like if only this problem was solved, if only this. As you raise awareness about it, then you're saying that we have this incredible connectivity in the world today where you can reach out to somebody who may be either sharing a similar problem or has overcome the same problem, and
Yeah.
now
You know, when I was growing up,
overcome
James, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, was be seen and not be heard. Children were to be seen and not
I
heard.
heard that so many times. Yeah.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
and you know, I think that was one of the most damaging things that could have ever been said to me, because I didn't really realize that I had a voice until way late in the game, and I could have been really making such a difference along the way had I started to pipe up a little earlier, you know. And so when you got an issue, when you got a problem, and you don't know who to turn to, journaling is a great way to get it out. And when you're writing it and you're reading it and you're thinking it, you're immersed in it, you're focused on it. Therefore, it becomes more clear to you, because you know, when you're a kid, you're a teenager, and you'll remember this too. It wasn't so many years ago for you, but you know, you'll remember that. You know, when you were a teen, lots of times you didn't even know what the problem was. You were just in a mood, or something went off, or something ticked you, or there was a trigger, but you didn't really know what was behind that. Journaling helps with that.
And that's so true. The clarity of just working through the words.
Yeah.
And that's true not only with emotions, especially with emotions, because emotions can kind of cloudy things up, can't they?
Yeah.
And so having that clarity is going to allow you to work through it in kind of a logical way, and then kind of rechannel that energy, that emotional energy, in a more productive way. So there's a couple of things that I'm hearing you want to leave folks with, and you know, I want to get as many out as we can before we wrap up the show. But we've got number one, it's important to get clear, to have that that awareness of whatever challenges that you're working through right now.
Oh yeah.
To not compare yourself to others. There's all kinds of false perceptions out there based on marketing, based on advertising, based on digital remastering, and you know, and I'm sure even in movies, you know, I'm sure it's happening everywhere.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So all these false perceptions that you're trying to measure yourself against. So literally, somebody's rigging our system to be in a state of unconfidence, because then you need their product, then you need their services, then you need this, then you need that, because then you're in a state of need, right? If everybody was full, nobody would buy anything unless they were buying the basic necessities, right? We buy things because they meet certain needs, and the more that marketing and advertisers and media can accentuate those needs or enhance those needs, the more we buy. And so there's an incentive to make people feel like they're not good enough, because then they need things outside of themselves.
You know, here's a really I'm going to leave you with this too, because this is another really great self-esteem builder, in my opinion, is to take the focus off of yourself and put it onto someone else. And when I say that, I mean do good by someone else. You know, if you get an email from me, you'll see something that says, beauty is as beauty does. You're only as beautiful as your last good deed. And it's so true, you know. I mean, when I'm having a really rotten day, and thank goodness it doesn't happen that often, but when I am, I think about who doesn't have the luck that I do. And if you let me just for 30 seconds tell you that I'm involved in an organization out of Italy that has nominated African women as a collective to the Nobel Peace Prize. So I went over 6 weeks ago to speak to European Parliament and and sort of meet with all these gals, and it was a great experience. You know, Africa is the place that people go to feel better about their lives, because they see how bad others really, really do have it. And when I say that Africa is one of the most magical lands on the planet, it's true, but it is also hell on earth. And I hope I can say hell on your show.
Oh, you can go more than that if
thank
you want.
You. Really but again, when you're doing something good, now you should always do something good for yourself, because I do believe in look good, feel good, be good, do good. But when you're doing good by somebody else, it's just nothing there's no wind underneath your wings that will carry you further.
And that is a great last point that you bring up, because really, to go to the extremes, and this is something that I think, even in Buddhism and in these meditations, they talk about, for example, meditate on death, meditate on the worst case scenarios. And what you're talking about is also meditate or contemplate some of the extreme scenarios in the world.
Yes.
Because rather than going, oh, traffic today, or somebody said that the shirt was ugly, rather than like going from like 1 degree from where you were and being frustrated, go to that extreme and go, wow, at least I'm not starving, surrounded by flies, and on death's doorway right now. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, when I did Survivor last year, as I had mentioned you before we started the show. And so I was 9 weeks on an island without food, with very little water, with conditions that were horrific, thrown out of a helicopter, 3 days in the hospital, crabs crawling across. I mean, it was really, really, really a tough case scenario. but I knew that it was a game. I knew that it would be over. There were no warring factions. I knew no one was going to show up and generally mutilate me. I mean, it was really tough living, let me tell you.
But you knew there was an opening, there was an ending, a resolution, and you had a time on it. Imagine if you didn't.
Yes. Yes. I mean, can you imagine now? And this is something that I try to remember. Oh wow, okay.
Go to the extreme and then appreciate where you're at. You're like, boy, this isn't so bad anymore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Not so bad.
It's very timely that you should say that too, Clarissa. I mean, I was browsing YouTube. It's amazing the kind of videos they have of the war that's going on in Syria right now and Libya and all over the world.
Yeah.
Careful when you go and you browse some of this stuff, but when you see some of the horror that's going on around the world, it really wakes you up to say, my life is tremendous. And I could say this for almost anybody in America, anybody that's not in a freaking war zone. They have a lot to appreciate, not only about their environment and their life, but their lives. I mean, they have all their limbs. They, even if they don't, they have a head.
I got it.
I mean, it's unbelievable horror over there. You get it?
I get it. No, I get that. And and what comes to mind immediately is you are absolutely right. And I've had the great fortune to travel this world many times over and see, different case scenarios. But there are so many kids that live in a war zone at home and can't get out. So, that is another thing that comes to mind. And these are the ones that I want to help who I can. I'd love to be able to save the world, as many of us would. An impossible task to do. But, again, I just want to call on anyone that knows of any child that's being abused to pick up a phone and shout out, because these are the other victims that don't have a voice.
I agree. And how can people reach out to you, and how can people follow along in the work that you're doing, Clarissa?
You know what? You can follow clarissaburt.com. I got a new website going up any minute now, even as we speak. Or it's just Clarissa at clarissaburt.com.
Okay. And that's .com, because I see clarissaburt.tv too.
And clarissaburt.tv will get you there too. Here's the book I was telling you about. You might want to take a look at that, Off the Coast of Zanzibar. I Am the 16th Chapter. It's written by Greg Reed. You can get it at Barnes & Noble and .com and Amazon.com. Okay. And again, I speak about the personal envelopment issue and love of self and self-esteem.
Beautiful. ClarissaBurt.com. Clarissa Burt, thank you so much for being on today's Full Potential Show.
Thank you for having me.
When do you do the next never-ending story? Because it's true to its name, right? It's never-ending.
That would really be cool. I wish that we could have, we'll do another show on that, on just what it, meant to me at the time. We shot that in '89. It came out in '90. It was a balmy, hot summer in Munich, Germany. But anyway, long story short, we'll do another show, and I'll tell you all about that.
I would love to do another show with you. We'll go ahead and get that scheduled again. Thank you so much for being on today's show, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
And be well down there in Costa Rica.
I will. Right. Thank you.
Watching you.
Okay. Uh-oh. All right. See you, Clarissa. Bye-bye. Well, that concludes this week's episode of the Full Potential Show, your #1 non-boring source for personal development. I'm James Rick, and if you want to get more positive programming for your brain absolutely free on a weekly basis, just visit fullpotential.com.
If you like the Full Potential Show, you're going to love the Full Potential Club. What would you like most as a Full Potential Club member? Be 2 to 3 times more productive? Do what you're passionate about? Have more energy? Reduce your work hours? Travel the world? Enjoy an amazing lifestyle on a frugal budget? What if you could do them all? James Rick has been there and done it in ways that few people have. For anyone serious about taking their life or business to the next level, you've got to do more than just watch. You've got to do. Join James Rick and other like-minded people for an incredible $10 a month at fullpotential.com/club. Be educated. Be empowered. Be the best version of you. fullpotential.com/club. Try it free for 30 days.